Well, it's been over 2 weeks since the world lost a leader in Charlie Kirk, and while many continue to mourn, some of the responses are nothing short of disturbing. Sportscaster Sam Ponder saw this firsthand, like so many of us. She felt changed by Charlie's death, so she posted a heartfelt tribute to him on her social media account. But instead of getting sympathetic messages back, all she got was hate for mourning a husband, a father of 2 young children, and a friend who was taken from his family far too soon. Samantha Ponder, you'll remember her from ESPN. She joins me now. Sam, I love your social media account. I follow you, and I hear about these DMs, and I'm not surprised. What have you seen just for honoring Charlie?
Yeah, the strange thing was I didn't really even say much. I reposted a video of his family just because I thought it was so relatable to see this as a dad. You know, you forget when you watch people on TV sometimes, like, this is just a dad who is a husband and has these little kids. And so I reposted a video of their family, like, on vacation. And man, I immediately lost thousands of followers, and who cares? This is not about me. But it was more about seeing what's going on in our country right now, and got just vicious messages, which any of us who have worked on TV get all the time. I'm used to that. But it was the response to something that I thought we could all agree on. Man, it's sad when someone's murdered. I thought that was something that just the general public could agree on. I think it said a lot about where we are as a country, but I also think it says a lot about the algorithms that we're dealing with. Because Kaylee, I saw so many people message me saying he was a racist, he was a bigot. And so I thought, oh, I didn't know that about him. Let me do a little research. And you know what I found? I found highly edited videos of short clips where you could make anyone sound terrible, all put together. These people, I almost don't blame the people who felt that way because they are being lied to. Yeah. They are being tricked. They're not sitting and watching a long debate with Charlie Kirk. They're seeing what their algorithm gives them. I had people saying, I didn't see anybody mourning his death. Yeah. And I'm thinking, I'm seeing doctors, nurses, teachers, moms that were laughing about his death, his murder that we all saw. Those people weren't seeing it all. So that tells us we're seeing 2 different Americas, and a lot of it is because of the social media algorithm that we are all just chronically online addicted to, which is a real problem.
It's so true, and that's incredibly well said. And, you know, Sam, you had a 20-year career in sports broadcasting. You were at ESPN. A lot of people watching today watch college football, watch NFL. On Sundays, you were NFL. People recognize you. And, you know, my husband, he played Major League Baseball, and there is this pressure that if you have a mainstream conservative viewpoint on any issue, you can't say it out loud. And you were very bold in talking about biological men and women's sports, and you incurred backlash for that.
Yeah, but Kaylee, I have to admit, like, I was bold eventually, and when I say bold, I wasn't Charlie Kirk bold. I was felt a little courage, little spurts here and there after being a coward for a long time. I kept my mouth shut. I claimed to be a follower of Christ and a believer, but the truth was I saw my values in the decisions I was making, and what I was choosing was cared a lot about public opinion, cared a lot about the money I was making, didn't want to lose my paycheck. And in hindsight, I can see the cowardice and the hypocrisy in the way that I was living. And I feel shame about that now because there is, to your point, there is no way that in this country, especially in sports, you shouldn't be able to say on your own social media accounts, I don't think men should be in women's sports. Yeah. This is something I talk to athletes all the time. 99.9% of professional athletes, like, we know this is ridiculous. And the fact that we haven't been able to say it boldly, but with kindness and some humility, is insane. It is insane that we've gotten to this point in sports that we can't just be honest about what's true and not be a jerk about it, but just say, yeah, you're not putting a male in my daughter's locker room. It's not happening.
Yeah, well, look, you are not a coward. You are incredibly brave. You were at ESPN. You were posting these things that, by the way, 80% of America agree with, probably more like 90% now. And you're a sister in Christ. And you mentioned that Charlie Kirk's assassination has emboldened you. How has it emboldened you?
Man, it's just a reminder of the legacy of faith that I was raised in. I mean, I was raised in a family where people live out their faith, where they don't value safety above all else. That's not the teachings of Christ. Like, look at how the disciples' lives ended. We are not promised safety, which is scary. But I've got a dad who was the head coach of the Palestinian national basketball team while simultaneously coaching in the Israeli football league. The truth is, there's going to be conflict when you're speaking the truth. if we're going to live out our faith, yes, there's going to be backlash. There are going to be people who disagree, but we have to keep talking and seeing the way that Charlie lived. You don't have to agree with every argument. I don't even agree with every argument I've made, okay? We're not going to agree on every argument. But the point is that we got to get out in the public square. We got to talk more and not in little short clips. We got to have real conversations with real people that we disagree with and give space for understanding. Like, that cannot die with Charlie. And I think we are seeing so much that people are being emboldened to speak up in the public square. And I think that is an incredible legacy that he's left us.
No doubt. You are brave, you are bold, and I was so excited to have you today. Sam Ponder, I love following you, and I'm going to keep up with it. All right.
Thanks so much. It was great being with you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.